Minister, have you ever picked up the phone in the past and called Siúni Rahalig?
In the past?
Yeah. Have you ever picked up the phone and called?
To ring her in the last 8 months or so, yes.
How often?
Whenever there's real issues of concern, key moments in.
But it would have happened
in the development of the story.
Like a few times a week, a few times a month.
No, it wouldn't be a few times a week. That's the officials would talk a few times a week, and I would try and meet once a month.
You'd feel at liberty to pick up the phone and call her if issues arose.
If there was an issue, then I would feel I should pick up the phone to her.
You text and WhatsApp?
No, I don't text or WhatsApp.
No, text or WhatsApp, no. Okay. When it emerged that this
unless, I think on one occasion, where you press text me, I'm busy, that automatic one,
okay.
But that's about it.
But on this occasion, it was emerging that this was a very serious situation and you didn't feel it warranted you picking up the phone and phoning the chair?
I didn't think so. I thought it required a face-to-face meeting, as I said, because these conversations had happened in front of my officials. I felt it was really important, and there was now a question mark over what had been said repeatedly to me. I thought it really warranted having the officials there.
Okay.
And because during the course of Thursday that the language was used that she imagined she had told the former SecGen, that made me even more cautious about phone calls.
Is the draft of the letter that you were talking about, was the letter drafted?
It was sent.
It was sent.
Yeah.
Have you a copy of that available you could furnish to the committee?
Yes.
Okay. And in that letter, did you call for her resignation?
No.
No.
I asked to meet her on the Friday morning at 10, be it virtual or in person.
So now earlier you said that the story was about to break. Now it's hard to imagine how anyone else could have known about it because there was such a small circle of people. Mm-hmm. Will you investigate how that could be known?
Well, it was with ourselves, and of course I'd informed the chiefs of staff as well. Okay.
And can you tell me, you claimed earlier that RTE Primetime weren't aware of this story about to break?
No.
So why did you give them the scoop on the air?
Because as I was approaching Montrose, I was aware that it was about to break, and I felt I had to be open on it.
But given the sensitivity of the situation...
I wasn't sure if...
Given the sensitivity of the situation, you were live on air. You didn't have to tell this story because, you didn't tell us about the letter, or you didn't tell us about the threatened resignation. So why did you tell us this particular aspect of the information?
Because I felt if I hadn't, as I said earlier, if I hadn't, then I'd be here before committee for not telling the truth.
You didn't tell us lots of things that we found out tonight. You didn't tell us that night, but you did tell us this particular thing.
Because I didn't want to reveal those things in relation to trying to protect her, because I was hoping in that case that she would change her mind.
But surely you knew that by going ahead with the interview and taking this line and revealing what you revealed, that given that the chair was in such a position leading into this interview, that there was no way back after this. Surely you must have known that. It's not credible that you wouldn't have deciphered that would have been the outcome.
As I said many times on that interview, I was really trying to afford her the opportunity to come in on the Friday. But I had gone out on public record on the Monday on foot of the information given to me, so it's important to correct the public record when you're in possession of new information.
Earlier you told us that it was important that you would give the full picture, but you actually didn't give the full picture at all. You didn't tell us about the letter, you didn't tell people about the resignation, about the other issues. You did, though, give us some information. So that's not a credible position. There's no consistency there, is there not? Well,
in relation to getting incorrect information, I felt that really needed to be told. In relation to sending the letter, I did reveal that I had sent a letter.
Prior to last Thursday, how many times have you appeared in prime time since taking office?
Not very many, but I had agreed. I had actually declined it 2 times, I think, in the last 2 months, and we had decided on the Tuesday that I should come forward in relation to, because I'd been calling for the transparency. I was conscious in relation to RT. I was trying to to leave key moments that had to do with the DG or reports, that it should be the DG that would speak to them. But I had signalled to the DG and to the former chair that they were doing media, they planned to do media, and that I would do the media at the end of the day.
I can only see 2 primetime appearances in nearly 4 years prior to last Thursday. And given that you were on the verge of something really huge here, did you not think that this was not the time to go ahead? And by the way, there was plenty to fill the programme. There was the Kerry drugs bus, there was the console issue, there were lots of things. So primetime weren't stuck for information. And you'd only done it twice in almost 4 years. Why did you think it was necessary to go on last Thursday?
I'd given the commitment earlier, and because I wasn't able to do it in the previous month, I just felt I should go on.
Minister, a large tranche of documents were sent by RT to your department in late November, and I presume you've seen them?
Yes.
Okay, and amongst those documents were the new terms of reference for the Remuneration Committee. Did you see them?
Have I seen them? Yes. Yeah.
And your department informed you of them. You were furnished with them.
Sorry?
You were furnished with those documents.
We were furnished with them, I think it was with 16 other documents.
When? At that time when they were
No, not
received?
at that time, because they weren't even signalled. It was in relation to a sort of a question and answer governance stock.
Okay. But it shouldn't have been any surprise to you or the department that the exit packages would be subject to oversight by the directors arising from those documents.
Arising from those documents,
Yeah.
they were received 2 months after Mr. Collins'
but
package.
prior to 10 days ago, when you read it in the media about the exit packages having been, and the involvement of the board, you would have known before that the terms of reference would have set this out, correct?
Well, see, it hadn't been clear because we only received them 2 months after the package.
Yes, but you had them since November.
That's exactly why I had to ask the questions last week.
Why did it take until last week?
Because it wasn't clear.
Well, no, sorry. Why did it take until last week to ask those questions? So if you had these documents since November, your department had them.
From the end of November, because it was not clear at all. Our understanding was that when the deal with Mr. Collins was done in early October, that the old terms of reference applied and the board had no approval, because the only official formal notification we got of changes was from the chair to me. As I said, always key moments. The chair on key pieces of reform would email me.
The department had given it to you the RT had given to you in writing, literally. What the procedure was.
Really, not clearly.
Will you furnish those documents to the committee?
Yes, yeah. So
you had these since the 30th of November.
The 30th of November, yes. Okay.
Can I ask, Minister, why here on the 28th of November did you tell me that your department had no decision, had no input in the question of the licence fee the advertising of the licence fee being stopped, when actually it had, and it had been informed?
But we'd no role in that. We have no active role. That's in an information session. Why,
when I asked you, did you just surmise that the decision was based on maybe going down poorly with the public at the time?
I think I clearly said that day that there is no role for the department on this. This is a decision for RTE. Obviously, my officials meet regularly with RT and PUST in relation to TV licence and related matters. It's not a decision.
Why didn't your parliamentary replies to me on this specific issue refer to that? Why did it take until last Friday and until a reply from RT yesterday, but a parliamentary reply from you last Friday, for you to actually correct the answer you had given me, that your department had been advised of this?
I think we said we weren't involved in deciding on it. My officials are not involved in the decision-making process, and that meeting is an information. We can't influence that.
But there's an operational forum operating, and none of your replies ever referred to that, even though I was asking specific questions. And you would have said that it's not something that would have been discussed with your department. You basically, what I'm pointing out to you here is there seems to be a dysfunctional miscommunication problem within the department, because even if written, I accept maybe in a committee if you don't have that information at hand, but in written responses, a number of written responses, none of this has been referred to. Until last Friday, it had to be dragged out of you, and only because Mr. Backhurst's information here on the February 14th was inconsistent with the information you had given me, both verbally and written. Why is that? And is that not indicative of a huge communication problem within your own department? And is that not part of the reason why we have this debacle that arose last Thursday?
No, that is an information sharing forum. We have no role whatsoever, and that's what I said in that committee, in influencing those decisions.
I asked you, were you aware at the time in the committee? I asked you, were you aware?
What I said was there were no discussions on it. What we've said to you is that it was conveyed, but it's not for us. And I think I said in the committee that is an editorial decision for RTE, which it is, and we cannot influence that in any shape or form.
But you could only surmise, so you weren't aware of the rationale behind this, even though we're talking €20 million here now lost since July. This is not small, this is big. And you told me you could only surmise. So were you not aware of this forum? Did your officials not inform you of it? Or is it something that's just recently came to your attention? Or did you know about it and convey false information here?
No, what I'm saying is you had various opinions on why it might have happened.
Specific questions. It's very simple, black and white
I was
questions.
saying, it may have been tone deaf to have your ads on Kerry FM
Were you
and
aware of
LMFM
this
in
forum?
relation to the TV licence.
Were you aware of this forum?
Of course I know there's a forum that meets monthly.
When did you find out about the forum?
Information. I know there's a forum.
When did you find out about it?
Because it's always been there.
But when did you find out though? Did you know before you told me on the 28th of November what you told me?
Well, of course I know there's a forum, but it's an information sharing.
But you knew before the 28th of November that forum existed?
Yes, yeah.
But you neglected to inform me in numerous parliamentary replies and here in the committee about this forum that met. When I was specifically, and it was a lengthy discussion, and the officials around you as well were there. It was a lengthy discussion, and yes, you found it not important to tell me this.
Because I was pointing to the fact that it was an editorial decision for RTE, and that's what I said in the committee, that we have no role in it, and I'd still stand by that we have no role in it, because we can't influence that.
Would you at least accept that you were economic with the truth in terms of telling us what was going on?
That was not my intention, Deputy. I was just merely pointing to the fact that we have no role whatsoever in that. I thought that was my presumption of what you were trying to get to in the question. So that certainly wasn't my intention in any shape or form, Deputy.
And could you tell me, finally, Minister, have you had any subsequent contact with Siún Rahalig since last Thursday?
I haven't.
No. And will you be having contact with her?
I don't imagine so, no.
And when was the last time you had contact with her?
In the third meeting on Wednesday.
And in relation to the primetime interview on Thursday night, did you inform the interviewer in advance of the interview that you would be disclosing that information?
It was signalled, as often happens in interviews, the topics that we discussed. And I believe my advisor signalled that there was an issue about to break in relation to the board, and that I was.
But did you yourself convey it to the interviewer that you would be raising it?
No.
Who conveyed it?
My advisor.
In advance?
Yes.
Okay.
As you often have in these cases, you discuss the topics that will be, and we felt it was the right thing to do to flag there was something emerging, and that the minister would be willing to speak to it.
Okay.